My name is Brenna Lockwood, and I'm 38 years old. 3 weeks ago, I was standing at the edge of a private dining room in New England watching my little brother raise a whiskey glass and tell 30 people I hadn't paid for a single bite of my parents' anniversary dinner. My aunt clapped once and said to let the real family enjoy it. My mother studied her plate. My father studied his glass. I set down my napkin, took my coat, and walked out without a word. 60 minutes later, the manager of that restaurant came back through the oak room doors carrying a leather bill folio, and the entire table stopped breathing. Before I tell you what was inside that folio, please take a moment to like and subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, let me take you back to a Thursday afternoon 3 weeks before the party. My office. 4:17 p.m. The phone rang at 4:17 on a Thursday and the caller ID said, Mom. I closed the spreadsheet I was working on and pick it up. Brenna, honey. My mother's voice had that thin apologetic pitch she used when she wanted something. Do you have a minute? Always for you, Mom. What's up? It's about your father and my anniversary, the 35th. A pause. Mason said he'd plan it, but he's just, oh, honey, you know how busy he is with Tiffany with work. I knew exactly how busy my brother was. He had one job 3 hours away from 40. Mom, say what you need. Could you look into something? A restaurant? Somewhere nice? I hate to ask. She wasn't asking. She was doing what she had done my whole adult life, lowering a suitcase of family logistics onto my desk while calling it a favor. I looked at the framed photo of Mia on my desk. My daughter, 7 years old, gap-toothed at the beach. I looked at the quarterly reports queued behind the email window. I thought about the last 3 birthdays, the last 2 Christmases, the baby shower, the funeral for my grandmother, Marjorie. I'll take care of it, Mom. Oh, sweetheart. Thank you. Don't worry about the money. I know you and Mason can split it. I didn't correct her. I love you, Mom. Tell Dad I love him too. We hung up. I sat in the office quiet for 30 seconds, watching the cursor blink. Then I opened a new browser tab and typed private dining room, Connecticut. 30 guests. I said yes that afternoon the way I had always said yes. It was the last easy yes of my life. I got home at 6:30. The smell of onions and thyme hit me before I set down my bag. Adam was at the stove, knife in hand, cutting a shallot with the patience he brought to everything. Hey, babe. Hey, I hung my coat. Mom called. He glanced up. Mason, drop it again. I nodded. Adam set the knife down. Do you want me to come with you to a scouting call, to the party when it happens? You were coming anyway. I was going to sit in the car if you needed me to. Mia came running from the living room in pajamas and one sock. Mommy, I drew you. She pressed a sheet of construction paper into my hands, a stick figure with huge hair and a briefcase on top. Mommy, this is beautiful, baby. Mommy, will we see Grandma soon? I knelt. Yes, sweetheart. Grandma and Grandpa are having their big anniversary party. We're going together. Okay. Mia paused. The way children pause when something has been sitting under their ribs. Grandma didn't come to my birthday. No, she didn't. Love, is she going to come to this party? She'll be there. Yes, it's her party. Good. Mia took her drawing back, studying it. I'll bring this then for her. She ran back to the living room. I looked at Adam. He was looking at me with that gentle, tired expression that had learned every version of my family's absences. One party, I said. That's all I'm signing up for. Whatever you decide, he said, picking up the knife again. I'm with you, no commentary. That was Adam, 10 years of marriage, the quietest alliance in my life. Mason called Friday night at 9:14. I was in the tub reading something I wouldn't remember. Hey, sis. His voice had the false brightness of a man opening a negotiation. Mom told me you're handling the party. Thanks for stepping up, stepping up. His phrase for anything he had dropped. Sure. Where are we doing it? Still looking somewhere nice, right? Mom deserves nice. He laughed. So budget-wise, I'll handle it. No, 50-50. I want you to know that up front. Put me on the invoice. Whatever, I waited. Mason always said more when the other person said less. Things are tight right now. Tiffany's new skincare line, but I'll square up. Just put my name on it. Put your name on it, so people see the bill. If anyone asks, we both hosted family thing. You and me. There it was. Not a contribution, a credit claim. Mason, Yeah, the invitation will say Mom and Dad. That's whose anniversary it is. Right, right. But like hosted by, you know what I mean? I stood up and reached for a towel. We'll figure it out at the party. Cool, cool. Love you, sis. He said it fast, like closing a door. I sat in the edge of the tub in a hotel robe I had bought myself, and I thought about how long I had been letting him build a fiction around me without contradicting him. I had 15 years of training in this. I could write the script of our family in my sleep. I wasn't going to write it this time. I want to tell you why I decided to pay. Last July, my mother had her gallbladder out. The surgery was fine. The bill was not. My father's contracting business had slowed through the spring. The kind of slow where you don't tell your wife every week, you just keep the books in a different folder. I knew because I did their taxes every April, and the numbers told stories my father would never say out loud. So I knew what would happen if I quoted the real price of a 35-person anniversary dinner to my mother. She would say, no. She would say, honey, let's just do something at the house. She would mean it. And my father would agree with relief he wouldn't admit to. And Mason would insist on going and then quietly fail to send me anything. And when the balance came due, my parents would somehow find the difference. And my mother would wear that small, tight smile she wore when she was paying for her own presents. I didn't want that. I had gotten a bonus in September, a real one. Promotion to senior advisor, a new book of clients, my name finally on the firm's door. The bonus was enough to cover the whole dinner and not feel it. So I decided to quietly handle it. I tell Mom it was a package deal from the restaurant, a fixed rate, already discounted. Don't ask. This wasn't a statement. It wasn't a trap. I wasn't laying a chessboard. I just wanted my mother to sit down at her 35th anniversary dinner, pick up a fork, and not count. That was the plan. It lasted 3 weeks. The Ember House sat at the edge of a 2-lane road in Farmington, 40 minutes from my parents' town. Old barn converted into something Architectural Digest had written up twice. I drove down Tuesday morning to meet the manager. Her name was Camilla Ortiz. Dark blazer, steady eyes, a handshake that meant business. Miss Lockwood, the oak room, please. She walked me through it. Vaulted ceiling, stone fireplace, long walnut table that could seat 32. Private entrance from the garden. Your mother's going to love this, she said. What's our date? October 18th, Saturday, 700 p.m. guest count. 30, maybe 32. Menu, 3 courses plated. Salmon, tenderloin, chicken marsala, open bar, dealer's choice on wine, toast at 8. She nodded, writing fast. Deposit is $1,500. Balance on the card at end of service. You'd like me to hold it on file? Yes, my amps, easy. She looked up. Any allergies, any difficult guests? I laughed once. Short, define, she smiled, professional. Anyone I should know about? My brother will try to take credit. He might even try to pay a piece so he can say he did. Don't let him. Understood. I signed the contract. My name, blue ink. Brenna Lockwood, host. She handed me a copy in a folder. Any last-minute changes, you call me directly. She pulled a business card from her pocket and slid it across the table. Cell number in the corner. Any changes? She said again. Not front desk, me. Thank you, Camilla. I walked out to my car. The sky over Farmington was that clean late October blue that makes you think nothing bad can happen in open air. I dropped the folder on the passenger seat and drove back to Boston. Sunday, I drove out to my parents' house to help Mom print the place cards. My father was in the garage pretending Tofix the snowblower. Mason's Tesla was already in the driveway, plates 2 weeks old. He greeted me in the kitchen with a backslap. Look at you, city sister. Brought the fancy card stock. Brought the fancy card stock. Mia ran off to find my father. I started laying out cards on the dining table. Mom handed me a list of names. That's when I heard my father in the kitchen, voice low. Linda, about the $18,000 for Mason. SH, she's printing cards. Robert, please don't let Brenna know. She'll only worry. I held very still. 18,000, my father said again, tired. And he hasn't talked about it once. He will later when he's steady. He's not steady, Linda, she sighed, the sound I knew better than my own voice. Let him get through the party. I stepped back from the doorway before either of them saw me. My hands were cold. A minute later, Mason came in, grabbed a beer, and tilted his head at me with that casual grin he wore when he was about to steal something. Hey sis, quick question. You still got a spare key at Mom's? The one you left the time Mia fell asleep after Thanksgiving. It's in the shoe drawer. Cool, just wondering. He popped the cap off his beer, in case. In case of what? Just in case. He winked and walked out. I watched him cross the yard to my father in the garage, hands in his pockets like a man with nothing to hide. I wrote down one more name on the place card list. My fingers shook once. Aunt Denise called Thursday, 4 days out from the party. I was in my office. Her name on the screen was a physical sensation, something just under the skin. Hello, Aunt Denise. Brenna. Her voice had the clipped vowels of a woman who practiced disappointment. I heard you're organizing the dinner. Yes, ma'am, I just want to make sure it won't be too loud. You know your mother, the oak room is private. It will be quiet. And the food? Your mother has that thing with beef. The menu has salmon and chicken. Mom can choose. A pause. Oh, well, that's thoughtful. She sounded disappointed to find me thoughtful. I want you to know, Brenna, that Mason has been carrying a lot for your parents, the grocery trips, the doctor appointments last fall. That's wonderful. I don't know if you fully appreciate what he does being gone the way you are. I appreciate it plenty, Aunt Denise. A silence designed to make me feel it. I didn't. Well, come early Saturday, will you? Real family should be there to greet the guests. My jaw tightened so hard my back teeth creaked. I'll be there when the first guest arrives. Havia, good evening. I hung up before she could answer. Adam looked up from the couch where he was grading a beam drawing. Denise, what did she say? She said, real family should be there early. Adam set the drawing aside. 3 more days, Bren. I nodded. I put my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Outside, the street light on our corner flickered on early, the way it always did when autumn got serious. The phrase real family would come back Saturday louder in front of 30 people. She had been rehearsing. Wednesday before the party, Mason asked to meet for coffee. To nail down logistics, he said. He brought Tiffany. She was pretty in that hard, polished way women get when their whole life depends on looking successful. Bleach blonde, a designer bag, and a laugh that arrived 2 beats late. Hi, Brenna. She hugged me. Mason's told me so much about the party planning, I bet. We sat. Mason ordered a cortado like he'd been drinking them his whole life. So, Hess said, Tiff and I were just talking about how generous it is that we're splitting this. Tiffany nodded enthusiastically. Mason insisted we cover the bigger half. He said, Brenna's got a kid, Tiff. We can carry more. I just love that about him. Mason wouldn't meet my eyes. I watched him swirl the foam in his cup. I could end this right here. I could look at Tiffany and say, Honey, Mason isn't paying for anything. I could watch her face reorganize itself. I could. But Mia had a school play Thursday, and my mother had waited 35 years for this dinner. And my weapon was not humiliating a woman who was just a witness to a lie I had let run for years. We'll settle it after the party, I said. Mason exhaled. Tiffany squeezed his hand. You're such a good brother. He's trying, I said, and my voice was completely level. Mason's eyes came up then fast to check me. I smiled at him with no teeth. We finished the coffee. I paid for all 3 drinks. Tiffany thanked me. Mason said we'd talk Saturday. In the car, I sat with my hands on the wheel for 2 full minutes before I started the engine. One more kindness, his last. Friday night, I was at my desk updating the final RSVP count when Mia patted in, hair wet from the bath. Mommy. Yes, love, Mommy, why are you not smiling? I'm smiling. With your eyes, you're not. I laughed a little and she climbed into my lap. She smelled like Johnson's and her father's shampoo. Mommy, Aunt Tiffany called me yesterday after school. I sat up straighter. She did. She said, Uncle Mason is paying for a really big party for Grandma. The bones in my jaw did that thing again. And she said, Uncle Mason is really, really generous, is he, Mommy? I turned the chair so Mia was facing me. I held her small hands in mine. Baby, listen to me for a second. Okay, people who really do something good, they don't need to say it loud. Real generous people are quiet. Oh, Mia chewed this over. So Uncle Mason isn't. I didn't say that, sweetheart. I said loud doesn't always mean real. She nodded deeply serious. Okay, that makes sense. Good girl, off to bed. She slid down. At the door, she turned. "Mommy, are you quiet, generous? Go brush your teeth, baby." She grinned and ran. I sat at my desk a long time after. Then I opened the Notes app on my phone and typed one line. "After Saturday, I am not responsible for stories that are not mine." I saved it. I closed the phone. I looked at my list one more time. 32 names. Salmon, chicken, tenderloin, something inside me that had been loose for 20 years clicked into place. Saturday would come, I'd show up. I'd be polite. I'd pay the bill I had agreed to pay. And something, not everything, but something would end. Saturday morning, 10:00 a.m., I arrived at the Ember House 3 hours before guests. My mother had asked for a walkthrough. I wanted to be there first. Camilla met me at the side door. She had a clipboard and a pin clipped into her hair. "Miss Lockwood, come on back." The oak room had been set while I drove up. White linen, low amber light, centerpieces of dried wheat and cream roses. Exactly what I had shown the florist on my phone. My mother would cry at the flowers. "It's perfect," I said. Everything matched the sheet. Everything. We walked the room once. Camilla pointed to the small mahogany side table near the door. "Checkout station. Your card's on file. End of service. I run it around 9:30 if the cake lands on schedule." "Good." She hesitated, then added in the measured voice people use when giving you an out. "Miss Lockwood, just so we're on the same page, if anything about tonight changes, anything, and you want to pull authorization, you have 60 minutes from the moment you call me." After that, I have to process. I looked at her. "It won't come to that," I said. "Of course not." A professional smile, but we always prepare. She pulled out a fresh business card, wrote her cell number on it, even though it was already printed, and slid it to me. I put it in my wallet behind my license. "Thank you, Camilla. Your mother's going to love this." I stepped back into the lobby. The lights on the low sconces were warm. A server carried a tray of polished wine glasses past me, silver catching the lamp glow. That business card in my wallet would turn out to be the most important piece of paper I owned that day. The guests came in between 640 and 655. Cousins I hadn't seen since Christmas 2019. Dad's old foreman, Wally, smelling like aftershave in cold air. 2 neighbor couples who had lived across the street my entire childhood. I greeted every one of them. Adam stood near me, hand at the small of my back, shaking hands, smiling easy. Aunt Denise arrived at 6:44 in a navy suit. She hugged me with the stiffness of a mannequin. "Oh, Brenna, you made it. I was worried work would keep you. Work doesn't keep me from my parents." Aunt Denise. She patted my arm and moved on. Mason and Tiffany came in at 6:50. Mason stopped in the doorway off the oak room and let out a low whistle loud enough for the first 10 guests to turn. "Wow. Wow." "Tiff, look at this." Tiffany looked. "Babe, this is gorgeous. I told you I'd pick somewhere great." 2 cousins turned toward Mason and smiled approvingly. "Mason, you outdid yourself. Anything for Mom and Dad?" I stood 10 FT away at the welcome table, signing a card for the memory book. I did not look up. Adam's hand on my back tightened. One small squeeze, I wrote, "Happy 35. We love you," in my grandmother's blue ink. And I signed my full name and I closed the book. Mason walked the length of the room like a man who had built it himself. He shook hands. He accepted compliments with a modest chuckle. He put his hand on my father's old foreman's shoulder and called him Uncle Wally even though they weren't related. Tiffany was at his side beaming. I turned to Adam. "Let him have his lap," I said quietly. Adam nodded. "For now." My parents came in at 57. My mother wore a dark blue dress I had never seen. My father had on his charcoal suit. The one he got married in altered 3 times. They walked in holding hands the way they only did in photographs. Mom, Dad, my mother's eyes went shiny. "Oh, honey," she hugged me. She held on a beat longer than she usually did. Into my shoulder she whispered, "This is too much. This is too much, thank you. And thank Mason too." I stayed still. I said, "I love you, Mom. Say it to Mason too, honey." I pulled back and smiled. "I'll tell him." My father pulled me in for the quick-armed hug he gave everyone. "Good job, honey. Real nice." It was the 5-word performance of approval I had been collecting from him for 38 years. I had a shelf of them in my chest. Mia ran up. "Grandma, I brought you a drawing." My mother bent down. "Oh, sweetheart, let me see." Aunt Denise's voice cut across the room. Linda, come over here and sit with me. Main table is filling up. My mother straightened halfway. Oh, just 1 second, Den. Linda, come on. My mother patted Mia's hair and rose. She followed Denise without turning around. Mia stood with the drawing in her hand. The paper was already soft at the edges from her grip. I knelt down. Baby, Grandma will look at it after dinner. She has to go be the special lady right now. Okay. Mia handed me the drawing. Will you hold it? I'll hold it. I led Mia to our table, table 2, near the door. Adam pulled out her chair. I tucked the drawing between the bread basket and my water glass where I could see it all night. Appetizers landed at 7:20. Crab cakes on arugula, little demi-tosses of butternut soup. The room did that lift a room does when 30 people get their first good bite and realize the evening is going to be a good evening. Mason stood up at 7:27. He tapped his champagne flute with a butter knife. Ping, ping, ping. Hey, everybody, could I get a second? The room went quiet. My father looked up, my mother looked up. 35 years, Mason said. 35 years these two have been putting up with each other. Laughter. Tiff and I wanted to do something special, so we picked this place. We set the menu. We worked with the chef because our mom and our dad, they deserve the best. Glasses rose. To mom and dad, to family, to family. Everyone drank. My mother dabbed at her eyes with her napkin. My father cleared his throat twice. I did not drink. I held the stem of my glass and I watched my brother sit back down like a man slipping off a costume. Aunt Denise stood up before the clinking stopped. I want to add something. She lifted her own flute. Real family isn't the people who send cards. Real family is the people who show up year after year who don't move away. She looked straight at me for half a second, then back at my mother. To the people who stayed. To the ones who stayed. My mother did not look at me. My father did not look at me. Adam beside me picked up his fork like nothing had happened. Smart man. Don't feed it oxygen yet. I set my glass back down full. I still had 45 minutes to be polite. I made it 38. I need to stop right here for a second. If you have ever sat at a table where someone took credit for what you paid for, where the people you love most stared at their plates and said nothing, hit that like button and drop the words seen in the comments so I know you're with me. The hardest part is still coming. Before I tell you what my brother said at 8:10 that night, the line, I'll remember my whole life. I need to know you're still here. Now back to the Oak Room. 7:35. Main course came out at 7:41. I watched the plates go by. My mother got the salmon, hold the capers, they remembered. At my table, 2 cousins from my father's side, Alicia and Paul, tried to make polite conversation with me. They were good people. Alicia was a dental hygienist. Paul raised golden retrievers. This place is beautiful, Brenna. Glad you like it, Alicia. Mason really went all out, huh? Adam reached for his wine. He didn't look at me. It's a beautiful room, I said. I cut the tenderloin on my plate. I chewed. It tasted like cardboard and iron. At the main table, Aunt Denise was laughing at something my mother had said. Loud laughter, the performative kind. 18 years old, and she tells us she's moving to Boston. Linda came into my kitchen that night and cried for an hour. Remember, Linda, you cried on my kitchen stool? My mother gave a thin, polite laugh. Alicia glanced at me. Paul looked at his plate. Adam leaned over, his voice low at my ear. Brenna, say the word. Migraine, we leave. No, we can leave. I said I'd stay for cake. He nodded. He cut his chicken slowly and did not push. Mia next to me was carefully constructing a fortress out of her dinner roll. Mommy, can I have ice cream before Grandma blows out candles? Tonight there are no candles, baby, just cake. Oh, she thought about it. That's okay. I reached over and smoothed her hair. I told myself I'd stay another 30 minutes. I would eat. I'd smile for the cousins. I'd be present for my mother's cake. I lasted 29. Mason came to our table at 7:53, whiskey number 2 in his fist. His tie was already loose. He slapped a hand on the back of my chair. Hey sis, don't be mad you didn't get the big table, huh? Tiffany had not followed him. Good, big table is for people who made this happen, you know. He grinned. I mean, I know, but Mason, easy, easy, he laughed, looking at Alicia and Paul. Just joking around. Sisters, right? Alicia's smile was a rigor mortis. Mason, I said, how many Weisses is that? He blinked. What, how many? I don't. Come on, Brenna, go back to your table, I'm eating. He straightened. The grin stayed, but something under it flickered. You know, you used to be fun. Go back, Mason. He went. He went the way a boy goes when his mother calls him in. Slow, performing casualness. He stopped once to clap a cousin on the shoulder. He was still performing. Tiffany watched him come back. Her face was different. Her eyes stayed on me for a long second across the room. I was starting to see. Adam exhaled once long and slow through his nose. You want to leave now, he asked. Not yet, Bren, not yet, Adam. Mia tugged my sleeve. Mommy, why was Uncle Mason being silly? Because he drank too much grown-up juice, sweetheart. Oh, okay, she went back to her role fortress. Paul across from us quietly said, Brenna, you let us know if you need anything. Thank you, Paul. I picked up my fork. I kept eating the cardboard. My pulse was steady. My hands did not shake. The only thing moving in my chest was a clock. The plates had just been cleared when Mia tugged Miss Leave again. Mommy! Yes, love, why didn't Grandma hug me? I set down my napkin. Adam was still. He was not going to step in. He knew me. He knew this moment was mine. Baby, come here. Mia climbed halfway into my lap, her legs swinging off the side of the chair. Her drawing was still between us on the linen. Mommy, does Grandma love me? Grandma loves you, sweetheart. Then why? I took a breath. I could feel Alicia politely not listening 2 seats away. I didn't care. Mia, sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't match what they feel. Do you understand? A little. Sometimes grown-ups let other grown-ups tell them how to act. That's not kind, Aunt Denise told her. Yes, love, that's not nice. No, baby, it's not. Mia chewed her lip. Mommy, do you still love Grandma? I do, even when she does that. Yes, love. Loving someone doesn't mean you let them make you small. The words came out before I had rehearsed them, almost like someone else said them. They tasted like water after a long summer, Mia nodded. She thought about this the way a 7-year-old thinks. Hard. Then she slid back into her own chair. Okay, I'm going to draw another picture for Grandma anyway. You do that, baby. She picked up her little crayon pack from the table and turned the backside of a menu into a sky. I looked across the room. My brother was standing up again, straightening his tie, scanning the room like a man ready for an encore. His second big moment of the night, 3 Weisies in. I felt Adam's hand find mine under the table. Here we go, he murmured. Dessert carts rolled in at 8:08. Cream brulee flourless chocolate cake. The espresso bar fired up in the corner. My mother waved me over. I got up and walked the length of the room to the main table. I went to say something kind. I still don't remember what. I was 3 FT from her when Mason stood up. He stood up sudden, glass in hand, whiskey sloshing. He looked at me and he smiled the smile of a man who had been rehearsing a line under his breath for 20 minutes. Loud enough that every fork stopped. Hey sis, try not to eat too much up here. You didn't pay for any of this. The room went still. Nothing moved. Aunt Denise clapped her hands once, a single bright sound, and said, voice pitched to Carrie. Let the real family enjoy it, Mason. Silence. I counted 4 seconds by the clock on the back wall. It moved twice. My mother was looking at her dessert plate. Her hands lay folded in her lap like she was waiting for church to start. My father was looking at his wine glass. His jaw was set, but his eyes were down. Behind me, I heard a chair move. Adam standing up. I felt his hand land on the small of my back. Firm, not pulling, just here. Alicia made a small wounded sound from table 2. Paul looked at the ceiling. Uncle Wally, the foreman, looked at my father and waited for him to say something. My father said nothing. For 38 years, I had believed that if the day ever came, the really public day, one of them would stand up. Not one of them stood up. That was the moment I became a different person. I just hadn't started moving yet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't answer Mason. I didn't answer Denise. Here is what was running in my head in those 4 seconds. Mason knew I had paid. He knew better than anyone in that room. He had locked himself into his toast 10 minutes earlier. He had stood up and told 30 people he and Tiff made this night happen. A half-truth wouldn't save him now. If I had paid even $1, his whole toast fell apart. He needed the whole lie. He needed me to have paid nothing. A big lie always needs a bigger lie to cover it. That was the math he was doing out loud in front of 30 people while a glass of whiskey shook in his hand. And Aunt Denise, she didn't need the math. She didn't need to know who paid for what. She had been building the other sentence for 20 years. Real family, the ones who stayed. Mason handed her the opening and she took it, and the two people in the world with the power to correct both off them were staring at their plates. I looked at my mother for another half a second. She didn't look up. I looked at my father. He didn't look up. Something inside me made a clean, quiet click. I turned and walked back to table 2. "Baby," I said to Mia, voice calm. "Grab your coat, sweet pea." "Okay, Mommy." I turned to Adam. "Take Mia to the car, please. Yes, I'll meet you outside in 3 minutes." He picked up Mia's coat. He lifted Mia's hand. He did not look at the main table. He walked out the side door. I folded my napkin. I set it on my plate. I picked up Mia's drawing, the first one, and the half-finished second one, and tucked them in my purse. I picked up my wallet. I took out the business card. I held it between 2 fingers. I turned to face the whole room, 31 faces. My mother, my father, my brother, my aunt, my cousins, my father's old foreman, the neighbors, all of them frozen in the exact positions the line had caught them in. "Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone." "That weighs all," I said. I walked the length of the oak room at a normal pace, past the dessert cart, past the fireplace, past my father, who did not lift his eyes. The side door was 12 ft away. I opened it. The October air hit me like cold water. I let it. I crossed the garden path to the parking lot. My heels made small, hard sounds on the stone. Walking out was not my revenge. Walking out was the truth. The revenge, if you can call it that, was the phone call I made in the car. Adam had Mia buckled in by the time I reached the SUV. He didn't ask me anything. He opened my door, closed it when I sat, and got in the driver's seat. I pulled out my phone. I pulled out Camilla's business card. I dialed. She picked up on the second ring. "Miss Lockwood." "Camilla, I need to withdraw authorization." A pause, 3 seconds, just enough for her to confirm she had heard me right. "Understood, Miss Lockwood. Full balance or partial? Full balance. Keep the deposit for your trouble. The rest of the bills should be presented at head table." "To whom?" "The gentleman in the seat beside my father. His name is Mason Calloway, spelling. Calloway. Thank you. Gratuity. Add 20%. He can afford to tip." "Yes, ma'am. Camilla, I'm sorry." "Don't be Miss Lockwood. How long till you bring the folio?" "Dessert is still being served. Coffee after. I'll approach the table around 9:05 once the room has settled." "Thank you." I hung up. I set the phone in my lap. Adam turned to me. His hand found my knee. "You good?" "I'm good." "You sure?" "I'm sure." He turned the key. The SUV hummed to life. We pulled out of the gravel lot at 8:14. In the back seat, Mia hummed the theme song from a cartoon she loved. She didn't know anything was wrong. That was a kind of mercy. Through the window, I saw the warm lights of the Ember house fall behind us. Somewhere inside that warm light, my mother was still not looking up. My brother was still believing it was his night. They had another 50 minutes. I did the math. I let them have it. The highway at night is its own kind of quiet. Headlights on the median, semi-trucks groaning by. Mia was asleep within 10 minutes, cheek on the door. Adam drove the speed limit. "You didn't cry." He said after a while. "No, are you going to?" "I don't think so." He nodded. "Bren, yeah, I'm proud of you. Don't, not yet, I'm saying it anyway." I looked out at the yellow stripe of the lane marker. My chest docked in a place I didn't know how to find with my hand. It wasn't grief exactly. It was the feeling of putting down something I had been carrying without realizing. "Adam." "Yeah, I'm done going out there." "Out where?" "The town, their house, Sunday dinners, all of it. Until they understand." "Okay." And I mean they, both of them. My mother and my father. I hear you, Bren. I love them. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm not showing up to that table anymore. You don't have to justify it to me. I closed my eyes. We pulled into the driveway at 9:32. Adam carried me up to bed. I stood in her doorway and watched him tuck her in, pull the covers up to her chin, kissed the crown of her head. She murmured something in her sleep, a word I couldn't catch. I stood there until he walked out. Then I walked in. I stood beside my daughter's bed for 5 minutes, watching her breathe, her hair across the pillow, the soft, uneven in and out of her. I thought, I will not raise her at that table. I walked downstairs. I put on water for tea. I opened the back door. The October air smelled like wood smoke and cold apples. I waited for my phone to ring, back at the Ember house. 9:05 p.m. Mason had pushed back from the main table, bow tie loose, laughing too loud at something Uncle Wally wasn't laughing at. Aunt Denise was leaning into my mother, murmuring. My mother was nodding without listening. My father was turning a water glass between his hands, around and around. Camilla Ortiz walked into the oak room with a black leather folio and a posture that belonged in an embassy. She went directly to Mason's chair. She did not smile. She did not frown. Mr. Calloway. Good evening. I just need a moment. Yeah, sure. What's up, boss? Mason grinned. Camilla set the folio down beside his water glass. She opened it halfway so he could see the paper inside. Miss Lockwood has notified us this evening that she is withdrawing the card authorization on file. The balance remaining for the private room, bar service, gratuity, and service charge is $5,817.50. We accept credit, debit, or bank check. The oak room has a grace period until 9:30. The room, all of it stopped. 30 forks, 30 breaths. Mason's mouth opened. It stayed open. I'm sorry. Who? Ms. Lockwood. You mean Brenna. Ms. Brenna Lockwood, the host of record. The private room was reserved in her name. She's not even here. Correct, sir. She has left. The balance is due. Tiffany, 2 seats down, put her wine glass down very slowly. Her eyes moved from the folio to Mason to the folio again. Aunt Denise straightened in her chair. Linda turned her head toward Camilla, slow, unsure. My father had not moved. He was still turning the water glass, but he had lifted his eyes. Mason coughed a laugh, the laugh of a man trying to turn a punch into a joke. There's got to be a mistake, right? This is my sister didn't pay for this. I have the signed contract, Mr. Calloway. The deposit of $1,500 was placed 3 weeks ago on her personal card. Bring me the contract. I'd be happy to bring a copy if that's helpful. A cousin, Alicia's husband, Paul, said slowly. Mason, you just toasted 20 minutes ago that you and Tiff did all this. I did. We did. You did or you didn't. Paul, come on, I don't know what sister is pulling here. Tiffany stood up, her chair scraped. Her voice when it came out was high and clean and furious. Mason, what exactly did I contribute? Honey, Tiff, sit down, Mason, what did we contribute? Sit down. What did we contribute? The silence was a canyon. Aunt Denise tried to fill it. She lifted her chin. There has to be a misunderstanding. Brenna can be dramatic. Camilla, dear, you're caught in the middle of a family thing. Camilla did not move, did not smile. I am simply presenting the balance, ma'am. The contract speaks for itself. She left. Clearly, the contract speaks for itself, ma'am. Aunt Denise's mouth closed. Uncle Wally, my father's old foreman, looked across the table at my father. He said very quietly, Bob. My father did not look up. Bob. Who's paying the bill, son? My father lifted his head at last. His face had gone the color of wet cement. He looked at Mason. He looked at Denise. He looked at my mother. My mother had started to cry, very small, into her napkin. Aunt Denise stood up. All right, let's clear the air. She put on the voice she used when she ran church committees, a voice that expected obedience. Camilla, we're a family here. This is a family matter. We can resolve this between ourselves. No need to make a scene. Ma'am, there is no scene. I am presenting a bill. Yes, but Brenna abandoned her own parents' anniversary. Tiffany, still standing, said flatly. Aunt Denise Mason told me we were paying half. Honey, not now, not now. When? Not now. Tiffany sat down hard. She picked up her wine, held it, then set it back down without drinking. Mason reached for his wallet. I would hear about this part later. From Paul, from my father, from my mother in a broken phone call. He reached for his wallet the way a man reaches for a life preserver. He pulled a card. He handed it to Camilla. Camilla stepped to the side table by the door where a portable reader sat. She ran the card. The reader beeped twice. A specific unhappy sound, declined Mr. Calloway. Mason's face went gray. Run it again. She ran it again. Same sound, try another. He had 3 cards, each one failed. The last one was Tiffany's personal visa. When he pulled it, Tiffany whipped her head toward him. Are you kidding me right now, Mason? Baby, just is that my card? I'll put it back, oh my God. Camilla had not run it. She was holding it up between 2 fingers, waiting. Aunt Denise was still standing. Her hand had closed on the back of her chair like she was holding herself up. Oh, for heaven's sake, she said. This is ridiculous. Nobody answered her. My father stood up. He did it slowly. He was 64 years old and his knees hadn't been good in 10 years. And he stood up like a man lifting something off his own shoulders. He reached in his jacket pocket and took out his wallet. He pulled out a credit card I knew, the old blue one from his contracting business. He walked around the end of the main table, past Aunt Denise, past my brother to where Camilla was standing. "Run this one," he said. She ran it. It went through. She handed him a receipt on a small printed slip. He signed it, blue ink firm. Then he looked at Mason. He did not look at Denise. "Son," Mason was staring at the reader. "Son." Mason looked up. "Dad, son, go home. Dad, this isn't go home." Mason's mouth opened. He tried 3 starting words. None of them got out. Aunt Denise said, "Robert, really don't make this." My father turned his head and looked at her for the first time that night. He had blue eyes and they were very, very cold. "Denise, not tonight. Not tonight." She sat down. Tiffany was already on her feet. She was picking up her bag. She did not look at Mason. "Mason, I am taking a ride share home. Don't call me tonight." She walked out of the oak room. The door closed behind her. The sound of it was the only sound in the room for a full 10 seconds. Guests started standing up, quiet, careful. They gathered coats. They said soft goodbyes to my mother. They did not say goodbye to Mason. Aunt Denise was the last to leave. She did not say goodbye to anyone. My phone rang at 10:15. I was at the kitchen table with my second cup of tea gone cold in my hands. "Brenna, hi, Mom." Her voice was wet. Honey, what did you do?" "I left the party. Mason's card was declined, 3 of them. Your father paid $5,800 just now." "I know, Mom. You called the manager. You canceled your card. I authorized presenting the remaining balance to Mason. I withdrew my authorization." "Yes, Brenna. Mom, I planned the dinner. I paid the deposit. I signed the contract." My brother stood up in front of 30 people and said I hadn't paid for a single bite. Aunt Denise said to let the real family enjoy it. "You and Dad did not look up. I left the room. I called the manager from the parking lot. My father didn't speak when I needed him to speak. I'm sorry he wrote a check tonight. I am not sorry I made someone write one." "Honey, please," Mason's wife left him. "Mom, can we?" "Mom, stop." She went quiet. "I love you. I love Dad." I am not hatting anyone tonight, but I am not talking about Mason right now. I am not talking about Denise. Not tonight, not tomorrow. When I'm ready, I'll call. What am I supposed to tell them? You don't have to tell them anything. Aunt Denise already had a speech ready tonight. Let her use it on someone else. "Brenna, good night, Mom. I love you, honey. Good night." I hung up. I put the phone screen down on the kitchen table. I carried my tea to the sink. I dumped it. Upstairs, Mia rolled over in her sleep. The house made its small night sounds. I had cried for nothing in my life. I did not cry now. Sunday was small and quiet and good. Adam made pancakes shaped like ears. Mia named all of them. We went to the park on Brattle and kicked a soccer ball for an hour. Mia wanted ice cream after. We got ice cream. My phone stayed in my pocket. 14 missed calls by noon. 8 from Mason, 4 from Aunt Denise. 2 from an unsaved local number my father must have used because the landline is the one he can work. I blocked Mason's number. I blocked Aunt Denise's number. I did not block my father. "Do you want to call him?" Adam asked at the park. "Not yet. He needs to sit with it." "Okay." We ate dinner at 4:30. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. Mia built a fort out of the couch pillows and named it Fort Mia. Adam wandered through it. "Is this structurally sound?" "Yes, I'm Thinganeer. That is correct." "You are." I sat on the floor of Fort Mia at 6:00 p.m. and watched my daughter arrange her stuffed animals into rows. "Mommy." "Yes, baby, last night. Was that a bad party?" "Grown-ups had a misunderstanding, love, that's all." "Are you and Daddy okay? Completely okay? Is Grandma okay?" "Grandma is going to need a little time, baby." "Okay." She straightened a stuffed rabbit. "She can have time." I kissed the top of her head. By 8, Mia was asleep. By 9, the house was humming in that low domestic register of dishwashers and heat cycling on. I checked my Ring app out of habit before bed. Nothing. Porch light on, all calm. I slept 7 hours straight. It was the first real sleep I had had in a month. While I slept, my brother sat in a motel off I-91 making a plan I would see on video in 14 hours. Monday 11:40 a.m. I was in my office with a client portfolio pulled up on screen. My phone buzzed. Ring alert. Motion detected at front door. I opened the app expecting the UPS guy. The feed showed 2 people on my front porch. Mason, Aunt Denise. Mason had a key in his hand. I watched him put the key in my front door. I watched Aunt Denise step in first like she owned the place. I watched my front hallway light come on in the indoor cam feed 3 seconds later. I sat in my office chair and I did not breathe. They walked through my living room. Mason was carrying a canvas tote bag. Aunt Denise went straight to the cherrywood display cabinet. She opened the glass doors. She started taking down me mother-in-law's china. The blue and white pattern from Adam's mother, Rosalie, passed down from her mother. A complete 12-place set. Rosalie had written my name inside the bottom of the gravy boat in pencil in 2014, the week before she died. Denise was wrapping pieces in a dish towel and handing them to Mason to pack. I took out my phone with my other hand and dialed Adam. Bren, ring indoor cam. Mason and Denise are in our house now. Right now, where are you? Office. You route 212 minutes, I'm turning around. Go call the police. I hung up. I dialed the Cambridge non-emergency line. My voice was flat. My fingers were ice. Hello. I have 2 trespassers inside my home. I have video. Their names are Mason Calloway and Denise Calloway Farrow. They are packing items that do not belong to them into a tote bag. I'm on my way home. Ma'am, stay where you are. We're dispatching. I stayed where I was. I watched my screen. Adam got to the house at 11:55. 2 officers were already pulling up behind him. The ring cam caught him walking in, steady as weather. He stopped in the doorway of the living room. Both of you. Mason spun around holding 3 wrapped salad plates. Adam, hey man, we were just dropped the plates. Adam dropped the plates. Sit down on the couch. Police are here. Denise, still holding a soup tin, straightened her back. We are family. We have every right to collect items that belong to Denise. Those are my mother's. Her name was Rosalie Lockwood. My mother died in 2014. Those plates have never been in your family. They were in this house because this is my house. Denise, sit down. The officers came through the front door. 2 of them. Calm voices, badges clipped. Everybody stay where you are. Put your hands where we can see them. Sir, ma'am, step away from the cabinet. Mason set the plates on the coffee table. His hands were shaking. The lead officer looked at Adam. Mr. Lockwood, yes, this your residence? Yes, my wife is on the line from her office. She has video. How did these individuals gain entry? A spare key we gave my wife's parents years ago. We did not give it to either of them. Mason fast. My sister gave me your sister did not. Adam Unk's voice cut clean. That key was with her parents for emergencies. That is not consent. The officer nodded. Sir, ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us to the station and answer some questions. Walk with us, please. Don't touch anything else on your way out. Denise started to protest. The second officer quietly repeated, Ma'am, walk with us, please. Monday evening, 6:15. I was back home. Adam had changed the locks by 3. A friend of his who ran a locksmith shop drove over before I even finished with the police. I dialed Jeannie Walsh from the couch. Jeannie was my college roommate. She was also a family law attorney with an office off Harvard Square and a temper that matched her billable rate. Brenna talk, home invasion, ring video, indoor cam video, 2 individuals, my brother, my aunt, police have the report, items taken, items successfully removed. Packing was interrupted. Inventory still here. Key entry, yes, a spare at my parents'. You never gave it to him. Never. It was in a drawer at my parents' house. That's unauthorized entry. Misdemeanor trespass minimum. Possible criminal attempt at larceny. I don't want to sue them. You don't have to. I'd file 2 separate 12-month restraining orders tomorrow morning. Different relationships, different incidents. Mason, sibling, Denise, aunt. Separate filings. Clean court record, no civil action unless they try something again. Do it. Done. I'll have drafts for you by 9:00 a.m. Thank you, Jeannie. Brenna, yeah, are you okay? I'm very, very okay. Good sleep. Call your father. I hung up. I looked at Adam on the other couch. He was sitting with Mia against his shoulder. She had dozed off there 20 minutes ago. I picked up the phone. I dialed my father. He picked up on the second ring. Honey, Dad, honey, I don't know what to Dad. Listen carefully. Mason and Aunt Denise came into my house today with the spare key. They were taking Rosal's china. I filed a police report. I'm filing restraining orders in the morning. Silence. Long, Dad knows, honey, Dad knows, he was crying. It was the first time I had ever heard my father cry. Tuesday, my mother drove to Cambridge alone. First time in 6 years. She showed up at 11:05 a.m. She did not ring the bell. She stood on the porch and put one hand flat on the door. The ring caught her there, still not moving. I opened the door. Mom, her face broke. Brenna, honey, come in, Mom, coffee. I sat her at the kitchen island. I poured. She held the mug in both hands. I didn't know Mason was going to try to get in. He called me yesterday morning. He said he wanted to pick up a few things your grandmother left for him. I didn't question it. I didn't ask why he needed the spare key. Mom, I let him take it out of our shoe drawer. Yes, Brenna. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about Saturday night. I'm sorry about the whole thing. I have been letting Denise speak for me since you were 15 years old. I was scared of her more than I was scared of losing you. That is the truth, and I am ashamed of it. I let her talk. I did not interrupt. I did not soften. She cried. She cried for about 6 minutes without stopping. When she finished, I handed her a fresh napkin. Mom, I hear you. I believe you are sorry. Okay. An apology doesn't change behavior. I need you to choose me, not ask me to forgive you and fold me back into how it was. No. I blocked Aunt Denise's number. I'd like you to block it too, for now. She nodded fast. She took out her phone. She did it in front of me. Block. Confirm. That's step 1. Mom, tell me step 2. We'll get there. 6 weeks later, I was at the kitchen island on a Tuesday afternoon writing a Thanksgiving grocery list. Turkey, pie crust, cranberry, good wine. My phone rang. Mom, honey, hi, Mom. Your father and I would like to come to you for Thanksgiving. Just the 2 of us. Okay. I already told Denise she will not be asking me what I'm doing this year. I told her flat. Good. Honey, I haven't seen Mia since September. Is she okay? She's good, Mom. She'd love to see her grandma. I'll bring her the new book I got her. She'd love that. Quick facts my mother didn't ask for and I didn't offer. Mason pled out 2 weeks ago. Misdemeanor trespass, $500 fine, 40 hours of community service at a food pantry. The case was in the paper. Small paper, but still. Tiffany filed for legal separation the Tuesday after the party. Word in town is that she found out about more than the cards. Aunt Denise had her own 12-month restraining order quietly entered into the court log. She was not invited to last weekend's cousin's baby shower. The cousin called me to say she had seen enough. 4 other cousins said the same in the week after. My father started calling me every Sunday evening at 7:00 alone on Zoom. He wanted to see Mia. Mia showed him her art. He listened. Nobody talked about Saturday night on those calls. Nobody needed to. My father was choosing me the only way my father knew how. I wrote pie crust on the list. Mom, yes, come at 2:00. We eat at 4:00. Dress warm. I got you that throw blanket you like. Okay, honey, I love you. I love you too, Mom. I hung up. I put the list on the fridge. Thanksgiving, 4:00 p.m. my dining room. Candles on the table, Rosal's china, all of it recovered, washed, shining, set for 5. My father at one end, my mother to his right, Adam at the other end, Mia beside me. The house smelled like sage and woodmoke. My mother passed the rolls. Mia, sweetheart, I love that dress on you. Thank you, Grandma. Mia was using her careful voice, the voice of a child who had been paying attention. Halfway through the meal, Mia set down her fork. Grandma, my mother smiled. Yes, love. Grandma, I have one question. Can I ask it? Of course, sweetheart. A little while ago at your big party, people said bad things to Mommy and you didn't say anything. Were you sad Wenthy made Mommy feel small? My mother set her own fork down, slow. The table stopped. My father stopped. Adam stopped. My mother looked at my daughter across the candles. Her eyes filled. Honey, I was very sad, and I was wrong to not say anything. Grandma is learning how to use her words. I wasn't good at it for a long time. Okay, I'm practicing, sweetheart. I'm proud of you, Grandma. My mother cried quietly into her napkin. My father reached across the table and put his big hand over her wrist. He kept it there. Then reached further across to me and laid his other hand over mine on the linen. I let him. Nobody said anything for about 30 seconds. The candle flame leaned sideways and corrected itself. Adam very gently. Who wants pie? Me, Mia whispered. Pie for Mia, pie for everyone. I had thought I knew what winning looked like. I had been wrong for 6 weeks. Winning looked like this table. My parents left at 8:30. My mother held me at the front door for a long time. My father kissed me on the forehead. "See you Sunday, Mia Bug. Show Grandpa your art again." "I will, Grandpa." Then they were gone. Adam and I stood at the door. The first snow of the season had started somewhere after the pumpkin pie. Small, dry flakes, barely real. "You good, Bren?" "I'm good. First time I've said that word and meant it." He folded his arms around me from behind and put his chin on my shoulder. Mia called from the living room, "Mommy, the movie's starting." I turned back into the warm house. I flipped the porch light off. Adam locked the door. We sat on the couch. Mia tucked herself under my arm. Adam queued up something animated and bright. Outside, the snow kept coming. I thought about the oak room. I thought about the $5,000 bill folio, the declined cards, my brother's gray face. Those memories were in me. They would be in me the rest of my life. They did not hurt anymore. Here is what I want you to take with you. Family is not a birthright. It is a table. You build your own table. You decide who sits at it and what kind of voice gets used. And sometimes the kindest thing you can ever do for your own parents is refuse to let them teach your children that silence in the face of cruelty is what grown-ups do. If this story reached you, tell me one word in the comments. Stayed if you're still in your family with new lines drawn. Left if you had to step all the way out. There is no wrong answer. Subscribe and I'll tell you the next one on Sunday. The story of the afternoon I found out my sister-in-law had been taken from my grandmother's estate account. Link in the description. I'll see you there.